Hey guys, it's Rick and I'm here with January Week 2 Reviews 2021. We got 6 movies to talk about and 5 of them were watched on streaming services. I only have one physical title to talk to you guys about. So we're going to dive right in, and the first thing we watched was on Disney Plus, and that is a film called Safety. This was a story about a freshman football player for Clemson University. He has a young brother who he basically needs to take in and sneak into school and have live with him and his roommate. This is based on a true story. The movie was good and watchable, but I felt like I could predict every beat of the film. I knew where the movie was going the whole time. It didn't really surprise me or do anything to shock me, honestly, but it was still a good movie. It was an enjoyable movie. One I would recommend watching, but don't prioritize it above everything else that's on your to watch list. I give it a 3 out of 5. Don't really have a ton to say about it, but like I said, definitely one I'd recommend checking out. The next thing we watched was also on Disney Plus, and that is Hamilton. So I know Crazy Joe reviewed this and talked about how bad it was and how much he disliked it. I, however, on the opposite end of that spectrum, I'm familiar with the music. I love the music from the movie. I love a lot of the actors who were in the original production. Lin-Manuel, Daveed Diggs, Leslie Odom Jr. A lot of them have gone on to have very successful careers since starring in the Broadway play. I've listened to the first 10 songs on the CD numerous times, so that was the part I was most familiar with. But at a 2.5 hour, 2 hour and 40 minute runtime, because it's basically the entire Broadway musical, I was worried that I would be bored. But I would say the only part of the movie that drugged for me was the end of the first half of it. Started losing interest, but then you get a minute intermission, and I think the movie turned a leaf after that and just ramped up and was so good. The second half, the second act was fantastic. And like I said, the cast has gone on to do great things. The way it was shot was really cool. The music's great. It gives a great history lesson in an entertaining way. It'll save you a ton of money if you watch it on Disney Plus instead of going to see it on Broadway. Or my young sister and my parents went and saw it in Philadelphia when it came. Not with the original cast. And King George is the best part of the film, of the play. It's tough for me to call this a film because it's the Broadway play, but on film. So I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was highly entertaining. I love the music in the film. So yeah, Hamilton gets a 3.5 for me on Disney Plus. Next up, the physical movie we watched this week is The High Note, which stars Tracee Ellis Ross. From here, this looks like either Elvira or Maggie Gyllenhaal, but I know it's Dakota Johnson. Also stars Ice Cube and Kelvin Harrison Jr. I'm getting Instagram messages while I record. I'll look at that after. So this movie tells the story of Maggie, who is a personal assistant for pop star Grace Davis, who's played by Tracee Ellis Ross, Diana Ross's daughter. And she's an aging music star, but she's incredibly successful. She still sells out arenas. Her manager, agent, is Ice Cube. He wants her to do this Las Vegas Regency? Regency? What's the word I want to use? Regency? It's going to drive me crazy. I'm going to look it up and be so mad. Do I have it in here? She basically... Regency. I think that's the word. Ice Cube wants her to stay in Vegas, do her greatest hits. She wants to put out new music, but she doesn't tell anybody that. Then there's a secret that you find out is a secret, and I kind of unwrapped that secret when they said it. I was like, oh, that probably is this. And it pans out that way. But the movie is still good. It has great music in it. It's an entertaining story. This, however, for me, suffers from the one-time watch scenario. I watched it. I liked it. I don't ever need to watch this movie again. So this will not make the shelf. It will not stay on the shelf. So it's a fun watch. Great performances throughout. I give it a 3 out of 5. But the high note will not be making the shelf. That'll be getting added to my eBay page. So high note, definitely worth a watch, but probably not a full price buy. So next up, we checked out a movie on Hulu called The Binge, which is basically a comedic take on The Purge. A town has, or the country has prohibited the use of alcohol and drugs, except for one night a year where anybody who's 18 years or older can drink, party, do drugs legally for one night, one day a year. So it's like The Purge. And the movie stars Vince Vaughn, who plays the school principal. And it talks about a group of friends who are getting ready to celebrate their first binge. And Vince Vaughn has a daughter who wants to celebrate a binge. And I was really, really, really expecting this movie to be funny. I was expecting it to have some interesting stuff in it. And there were a few funny gags in the film, but this movie falls flat for me. Definitely not one I'd recommend. Definitely can see why it went to a streaming service. Didn't really get a physical release that I'm aware of. Wasn't very great, but it's watchable. It's short, so I give it a 2 out of 5. The Binge. However, next thing we watched was on HBO Max, and that is Bad Education, which if you guys watched my top films of 2020, you'll know I love this movie quite a bit. It is a true story, based on a true story about the largest public school embezzlement scandal in history. Hugh Jackman plays the superintendent, Frank Tassone, of the school. The assistant superintendent is Allison Janney. And you find out that there's money missing from the school. And you find out that it is part of a big scandal that rolls deep. It is very funny. It has suspense. It's a crime story in ways. Geraldine Viswanathan, who I keep talking about on this channel, plays the school newspaper writer who's a junior and breaks the story kind of wide open about the scandal that is afoot. Great performances throughout. It is insane to me that this is based on a true story, but it is. They've definitely livened up a few of the things, bumped up some of the numbers in the movie, but still an interesting story nonetheless. Bad Education, a 4 out of 5 for me. I really enjoyed it. In my top 10 of the year. So if you haven't watched that video, check out my top 10 of 2020. I think you guys will really enjoy that. And my hot trash of 2020. And then the last thing we watched was a movie that my girlfriend Bridget was very excited for. So we rented it on Vudu. And that was Kajillionaire, which stars Evan Rachel Wood, Deborah Winger, and Richard Jenkins. They have a very weird dynamic. Evan Rachel Wood has a very weird look to her. And they basically try to come up with different scams, different get-rich-quick schemes. The parents are always trying to pull one over on people. I was expecting a lot more like Napoleon Dynamite-esque humor. And there is some of that, but it's a darker film that gets pretty serious in parts, actually. And the movie ends up being more of a bummer than I really expected it to be. But still a fun watch. And with the lead character that's name is Old Dolio. That's right, Old Dolio. What more do you expect? So, Kajillionaire, I gave a 3 out of 5 to. I enjoy it. I definitely think it is worth watching for sure. I believe it is on DVD only. It did not get a Blu-ray release, but definitely one I'd recommend checking out. So, that is it, guys. This is probably the shortest review video I've done in a long time. Under 10 minutes. So, thank you guys for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you guys don't do so already. And hit the bell notification so you guys know when new videos come to the channel. The voice is starting to go. I have to record one more video after this. So check out the description box down below where you can find links to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd where I rate and review all the movies I watch, eBay store down below, Blu-ray.com profile, Amazon wishlist, email address, P.O. box, all down below. Thank you guys for watching. So as always, until next time, who's down to movie?